everybody, and welcome back. So this video is the promised video on automation. So since I put out that last video on Yardmaster Plus, uh, we went actually ahead and did some more updates to automation, sort of expanded the options out a little bit. So it's worth revisiting just to kind of go over the changes that you're going to see when you're looking at automation. And so anyway, we're going to get right into it. This video is just going to be strictly for automation. So when you go to do your automation again, you'll go into setup and then over to industries. And in here, you'll see the list of all the industries that you've set up. And on the far right side over here, you will see a column now for automation to see if you have a automation rule set up for a particular industry. We do for Arcadia chemical distributors. That's when we're going to pull that one up here real quick. So again, this is your edit industry screen. You can go back in here, change anything you need to change at any time. And this particular one only has one serving track. So we've got that set there. And then we have our options for closed gate and spots enabled. And real quick, will cover this. Closed gate now does work. So if you have a closed gate, you enable closed gate, I should say. Essentially what this is it's a customer that requests cars specifically by number. So like one at a time or two at a time, but they're going to basically request the cars to come in. This is opposed to an industry that is open gate, where when the railroad is ready and they have cars, they're just going to bring the cars and spot them. So customers like this are going to be like ones like a chemical distributor place or somewhere where they have very particular locations that are very particular like needs that, or they have a small track where they can only take so many cars at once. And so they have to sort of cherry pick which ones they accept at any given time. So next we have spots. So when you enable spots, that's going to open up an option down here for you to name spots on your tracks. This is going to be something that you'll see on many different layouts, but it basically is a spot is basically taking a track and breaking it down further into specific locations on the track. So you may have like an unloading pan or hose or some sort of connection that or like a loading spout or something where you have to have the car in a very specific position on the track in order to be able to do what you want to do with it. So, like as opposed to like a lumber yard where you can maybe set it to just a track and a forklift can come out and just basically access a car from anywhere. A spot is going to be a very specific location that you have to, your railroad crew is going to like move that car very specifically to that location. So you have the ability now to set up spots. When you name your spots, you can name them whatever you want. You're going to tell them what track you want to work with. Now, Arcadia Chemical Distributors only has one track, so there's only one option here, but you can choose another track if there's different options. So you have different tracks. You can name them whatever you want. They will appear in their own column in Yardmaster Plus Yard View, Track Detail, and on your switch lists. Okay, so let's get into the automation stuff. We have three options for automation right now. The first one we are going to talk about is the auto unload. Now, this is probably the more simple option here, but what this rule is going to do is it's going to take a loaded car and empty it out. And so what you have here for options are unload cars on what track. So you can choose which track this rule is going to apply to. And again, you can have multiple unload rules if you have different tracks and you have different needs, maybe different car frequencies or different commodities to be unloaded. But regardless, you can specify the track the cars are to be unloaded on. Then the car types, you can select as many as you want. So, we have like for myself, I have covered hoppers, coil cars. I can choose which specific cars here. For this case, it's just going to be T for tank car. So just tank cars on this track. This also would prevent, like, let's say there was a box car or something for whatever reason was going to the chemical facility, or a hopper car. Let's say I have hopper cars that get loaded at the chemical place. Well, Um, if a car gets loaded and then you run this auto unload rule and you don't have a specification on what type of car you have, then you're liable to have that hopper car be unloaded in a place that you don't want it to be. So that's why it's important to specify what type of car. The next is the commodity. So if this is optional as well. And I mean that car type is optional too, I should say, uh just to be clear. But commodity, you if you as long as this is going to be case sensitive, and you're going to want to match the letters perfectly on this one. So be precise. But if you have your commodity, such as like I have chlorine, I could type chlorine right here, and as long as it's going to be a match for what the car has in its commodity on the waybill, then it will unload those cars. And then again, down here, we have cars to effect. So how many cars do you want the rule to hit at once? And then before you do anything, just go ahead and save the rule. And then when you're done with that, you can test it out. I would just make sure you have a car on the track that could possibly be unloaded that is going to fit this rule, and then try to run it. And it should tell you if it runs this one's probably not going to have any cars on the track, but if it does, it'll, you click run and it should find a car and attach it, and it'll tell you if it does find a car. But the next one we're going to talk about here is load a car. So we can go in here. Just to show you. This is where you add a new rule. You have the option to add another load a car rule if you wanted to. So again, you have your track selection. So this rule is going to work for cars that are at your facility, that are actually on spot, and you want to put a waybill on them. So you can choose the track that you want that to happen on. You can choose the car type you want that to happen with. You can apply the waybill's commodity. This is where you're going to, so in this section right here, you're going to be able to enter the commodity that you want to be loaded onto that car, and then the destination. So now the destinations, you can choose multiple. So you may have a car that gets loaded with chlorine, let's say, and it's going to go to multiple locations or possible locations. So maybe the house track for Cold Harbor, maybe the Conrail interchange, and then also maybe, let's say, the export dock. So you could have 3 or more locations. You set that up, and then it'll randomly choose one of those when it's that way. You kind of have like a little bit of variety when it comes to what you're pulling out of there. You can also tell the rule if it's going to be a hazardous material, if it's a high wide car, if it's a high priority car. So that's all there as well. And then how many cars you want it to affect, and then make sure you save it. And then finally, we got request a car. So the request a car rule is going to apply a waybill to a car, and it's going to send it to the industry that you're working with. So in this case, we're working with Arcadia Chemical Distributors. So what I do here is going to basically make a waybill to have that car go to Arcadia Chemical Distributors. Now, it's broken down into 2 sections, and the first section is the find cars by. This is the where you specify what type of cars you want to find. And in this case, we have you can have a loader empty or any car. We want to find loaded cars for this particular instance. This is going to be, we want to find loaded cars in this instance. You can choose what type of initial. Now, basically, this drop down right here, you can choose all if you want, or just any specific one. If you leave it blank, it's just not gonna, it's gonna pick any car any car that has whatever specifications you have. But you can specify the car initial if that helps narrow down the car type for you. You could say UTLX, for instance, or you can pick multiple. So I can say UTLX or NAHX if I wanted to. I'm not going to. I'm leaving it blank, so that way it picks up any tank car. And that goes down to the next type here, which is the car type. So you go into the drop-down box for car type. You can select which car you want or multiple cars. And then we got some rules right here. So let's go over these. So if you check these boxes, it's going to create basically conditions to your request a car rule. The first one is only choose cars that are already tagged for this industry. So now this rule sort of works as in the car is already like, this is going to work more for empty cars too. Um, the car is already set to come to this industry. And what you're doing at this point is you're using this to, if you're a closed gate industry, you can have it where it's going to find the cars that are already going to your industry so that you can set them up for a spot. Um, so you can choose that option there, and it's only going to choose cars that are going to your industry that's already have a tag for your industry. Don't overwrite cars with waybills. This will prevent you from basically this, or prevent this rule from basically stealing another car from somewhere else. Um, that's obviously going to apply to loaded cars and maybe empty waybill cars. Um, Only choose cars in the same town. This is a way of basically, if you have cars that are like stored locally and that's the only cars that you want the rule to select, you can select that option there, and it'll make sure that the cars are only chosen from the local selection. And then you can also have it where you have only choose cars from other towns, which is cars that are not in the same town. Maybe you want to call them out. So in this case, we have it set for same town because this is a closed gate industry. The cars that are coming to Arcadia Chemical Distributors are arriving for this industry. They are stopping in this town and then being stored in a yard until Arcadia Chemical Distributors calls them in. And so that's why we have that set there. Okay, so that is the what you want to find the cars, how you want to find the cars. This is what you want to add to the waybill. So now automatically when you do a request a car rule, it's already going to put in the obvious information, which is the industry that you're working with, Arcadia Chemical Distributors for Arcadia. So that's just automatic. You don't have to specify that. But what you can do, and this is all optional, is add additional rule or additional details. So we can add in instructions like spot the car, I don't know, place the car on track. Uh, this is a free form and it'll show up in your switch instructions. You have special instructions, which is free text again. This is going to show up as like an extra line on your paperwork. And then um, your destiny and special instructions generally versus like switch instructions. Special instructions generally is like something you may have more to say, like it's more elaborate. You may have like a paragraph of instructions that you need to put on here. Um, then you have, and if you have hazardous material, maybe this is where you want to put your like hazardous material handling information. If you, you have, you want to get really like prototypical as far as like hazmat details. Then you got your destination track. This is what track the cars are going to go to. You can set that here. If you leave that blank, it's just not going to show up on the track column in track details or on your switch lists. And then your spot destination, which is going to be the ones that you've outlined above in the spot section. So once you've set those up, you can come down here and select which ones. So now you have your spot locations. I have like a location for cleaning cars. And that way you can, take a tank car and set it to a track to be cleaned. Again, cars to be affected can be selected down here. And then just make sure you save the rule. The last thing I'll cover with automation is going to be on the dashboard. You have a dashboard box right here that's going to show you all of the automation activity that's occurred on your railroad. And if you want to, once you've got all of your automation rules set up, you can click this button right here, and it's going to run all of the rules at once. So it's going to it's going to run all the rules. It's going to waybill cars, unload them, everything. So basically in one click, you can set up an operating session, and you don't have to do a whole lot once you've done the work of setting it all up. There is a automation guide if you go to the help section. I just put this in today or yesterday. Automation guide is a PDF, so because I suck at talking and trying to explain my own app to people, this is going to basically help explain it a little bit better to you guys, hopefully, because I'm a better writer than I am a talker, as it turns out. So anyway, that is the video. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will catch you in the next one. And in the meantime, between videos, if you have questions, just reach out to me directly and I will help answer anything that you need me to. So thank you very much.